want to get your message out there too, right? And maybe it's the t-shirt consumer in the instance of a small business, or if it's Samsung, maybe it's somebody who through our targeting is running late, up against their contract renewal on their phone, and they're considering switching devices, and maybe that's the person you want to connect with, right? And it can be a multitude of different people. So figure out who it is that you want to connect, start to get those people to connect to your page, and start to build that audience. Because now, again, going back to my sister's website as an example, you have that built-in audience that you can tap into to get your message out there in an effective way. So that's kind of step one. So then the second part is engage. Engage goes all back to content creation. Understands what types of posts they're going to respond to. Are they going to respond more to a photo post? Are they going to respond to polls? Maybe they really like polls. Are they going to respond to events if you post things around events? I mean, different groups of fan bases will respond. There's some broad principles that will apply to all fan bases, but different groups of people, particularly across different brand categories, will respond differently. Somebody that's connected to the Hangovers page is going to probably exhibit different behaviors than somebody that is, connected to maybe a financial services product. Much different type of mentality, and I think a different type of expectation of the type of content that should be getting pushed out towards them. So the second piece, again, is engage. Create engaging content that your fan base will respond to, because as they start to interact and as they start to hit like and comment and share, your content starts to scale. So that goes to the influence piece. And what winds up happening, a metric that we look at a lot at Facebook is friends of fans. So if any of you are page admins or page owners, you'll be able to see how many fans do I have, and then you'll also be able to see how many friends of fans do I have. And it scales very fast. So if you have, for argument's sake, 1 million fans, you probably have the ability to reach somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 million friends and fans. So that brings you to the influence piece. So as people start to engage in your content, they hit like, comment, and share, their friends now have the ability to see that story. So if Corey's running the Hangover page, Hangover sends an amazing post saying Hangover 3's coming, get really excited, and I'm like, and I like the Hangover page, and I'm like, okay, cool, and I hit like, that creates a story that my friends then could see, and it could say, Carlos Garcia was interested in this content that the Hangover had to produce. So your content can start to scale really quickly to an audience that's much, much bigger than your core fan base, and you have that implied endorsement as well, because now it's coming from voice of one of your friends versus voice of the brand. And we've seen through all the testing that we've done that those messages tend to resonate better. And those are fundamentals and basics that are going to apply, again, if you have 200, 300 fans like my sister's page, or if you have 20 million fans like Sam's.
1 billion mobile active users on Facebook. That is, globally, that's a huge number. I can't think of another platform that has grown that fast in such a short time. When people ask me, say, oh, you have 1 billion users, but how many of those people are online? How many, this is actually a mobile active number. So from that standpoint is that if you have a business, you understand who your consumer is better than anybody, especially if you have a small business. When you have a large business, sometimes it's really hard and you figure that out. But when you have a small business, you really understand who your consumer is. And with Facebook, that, as Carlos was mentioning, that we have identity, which is so important. And from that standpoint, that you can really target and hone into that core audience that you're really trying to speak with. So from that standpoint, if you don't remember anything, just remember that you have reach and you have identity. And you put those two together, then you can really target and talk to people in a way that no platform has ever done before.
So I want to talk about, I've used, at least for HPNG, we've used ads, right? Kind of, you have a budget, you have an ads. I thought it was really powerful to use because it was very flexible. I think a lot of business owners at any scale may not be that aware of it. I found it kind of helpful because it's like, okay, you target your audience, you have a set budget, it doesn't have to be a huge budget, and then it gives you the results, right? You're able to kind of really look at where it went and what it's doing and how you're doing with it, and if you want to do it again, expand that reach. How does that, that's my layman's term explanation of it. Can you give us kind of a bit more of a professional polish on that?
Okay, so for the advertising campaigns, basically, we have a couple of platforms. One of them is called Ads Manager, so you can look at, see how your advertising campaign is. So normally that in the internet world that people look at click-through rate. So you look at click-through rates and you have something towards a 0.1% click-through rate, that's something that's doing really well. Facebook really moves beyond the click. So if you understand that if you're on Facebook, you can do a lot more than just click. So you can click, as Carl's talking about, you can view a photo, you can click on a link, you can actually look at a video, you can share a piece of content. A lot more engagement that you can do on Facebook. Some years ago, I've been here almost 4 years, and everybody's really talking about likes. How can a page get a lot of likes? But a lot of these lightweight actions, we really move beyond that. So while they are important, you can do a lot with it. So just looking at reporting and looking how seeing things are doing, from that standpoint is extremely important. So that's one side when you talk about the advertising side of it. Another side of reporting is looking at your page. With page, you can look at page insights. You can look at the demographics in terms of the age demographics, in terms of geography, where your fans are coming from. You can see what sites your fans are coming from. We have different metrics such as PTAG, which is people talking about this. So it mentions like how many people are really talking about your brand, which means that how many of those people are they're commenting about your brand, they're sharing.
You know what? And I think psychologically it is a motivator, because when I check the stats on an HPNG page and it says like how many people are talking about this, and it has a graph and then it's up and then it dips and you're like, what? Have I not said anything important or interesting in 2 days? Like, I'm gonna post a picture of my cat. I mean, something. Not the cat, but something, because it is a motivator, right? It kind of gets you to like, well, somebody should be talking about this. But how realistic is it to keep, a graph when you're looking at these stats and you're looking at your likes and like, is there what's it called, diminishing returns? Is there a point of diminishing returns?
It's really on a case-by-case basis. For what you describe about likes and sometimes it's attrition and everything that goes on, it's just that you have to look at trends. So anytime you're doing something on any platform, whether it's Google, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, you really have to do some data mining. And you can't just look at things from a day-to-day basis, a month-to-month basis. You have to look at from really a year-to-year basis. You have to look at the entire bigger picture, such as the smaller picture as well. So from a measurement standpoint and looking at metrics, I always want to keep top of mind that here's a bigger picture. And then measurement can tell a myriad of stories, but you have to understand what is your business about, what are you trying to achieve, and you have to look at the stats that are that correlate with that. So we've seen before in the old days that some brands will just post a picture of a kitten, because like cats for some reason on the internet generate a lot of engagement.
Because they're awesome.
I agree, but I have a cat. So just really looking at your business objectives and looking at your stats. Not we always talk internally. It's not really about looking at things immediately, but looking at the bigger picture, because there are times in Facebook history where we could have looked at forward and say, hey, this is what the industry is doing. Let's do that, but let's look at the bigger picture and see what we can accomplish. There was a time when Facebook was just a site for college students, and then when it opened up to everyone else, people were like, you can't do this, you can't do that, and now we saw the power and why we are doing these things. It goes to the same thing with business, and it goes the same thing when looking at measurement and metrics. Make sure that you understand, number one, your business objectives, what you're trying to achieve, and number two, that looking at your metrics, not just looking at the bigger picture, not just the short term.
Right.